Okay, so I was gonna make like a whole video talking about every song and like every song on both The Wicked City and I Love You Jennifer V. But I made like this PowerPoint and I was so bored by everything that I was talking about, so I decided to maybe change it and just do one video talking about why I like the band so much. And I think it can boil down to like what I'm gonna call Jockstrap's Sophie's Choice. Um, And what I mean, well, Sophie's Choice, the movie, is just like a hard decision that has to be made. And then it can refer to like whether the choice be like difficult because it's both options are bad or because both options are good. And in our case, or in the case of Jockstrap, it's because both options are good, I would say. I guess you could look at it as like Jockstrap's trolley problem, of course. And so here you have, as you can see, I think you can follow my mouse. You have this is the Jockstrap duo. This is the song. Let's call the train the song, and then they're over here. The two bandmates are over on the lever. Georgia and Taylor are here. This by the I Love You Jennifer B. And basically, they have two options with which they can take the train or the song. And I have the city over here. So if you know the songs, the city is one way, and concrete over water is another way, right? And to make it more clear, so let's say the song, right? Which way are they going to take the song? You can take it towards gnarly, or you can take it towards beautiful. So the city being gnarly, and beautiful being concrete over water. And I guess what do I mean by this? I think it'd be easiest if I go into talking about the city, and then maybe I'll talk a little bit about concrete over water later. But with the city, throughout the whole, it's off Wicked City, the 2020 EP, but it's the fourth track, and like with the first track, Robert, you have very gnarly sounds. Georgia doesn't sing at all. It's mostly speaking. So like if the first Jockstrap song you listen to is Robert, you have no idea that they're hiding this beautiful voice. And then on track 2 and 3, you get Acid and then Yellow and Green, where there's a lot of space for her voice to move and not like show off, but like show you that the voice is beautiful, and the production complements it, and the sounds that they use complement how beautiful her voice is on the track, right? And so when you get to the city like kind of similarly opens. I'll put my headphones on, but I have a little audio bit here. You'll hear basically it starts similarly. She sings, Georgia sings, and there's like not much happening production wise, like or there aren't many sounds that are off putting, I should say, like there are in Robert. And so we'll listen to it. The city I met was pink. Right, there's a lot of space for her to breathe, or for her voice to breathe. And if you would listen to the past two songs, you're like, oh, well maybe Robert is just this song that's intentionally off putting to trick dorks into not listening to the music, and then here's her pretty voice, here are the pretty sounds we're going to give you on Acid and Yellow and Green. And you're going to get it again with the city, is kind of what you think. Or that's how I go into it thinking. And then over on the right here is the gnarlyometer. And you have Robert, clearly very gnarly. And Yellow and Green and Acid are much less gnarly. Although, like, you could probably argue lyrically they're pretty gnarly, but that's a different thing, I think. I'm just talking about, like, how I feel when I listen to these songs. And it's much less gnarly. Maybe sad sometimes, but yeah, anyways. Then we get to the middle of the city. And during the middle of the city, there's this awesome part. And so after, I think, the first and maybe second verse, I don't know, sorry, George's voice becomes suspended, right? And so we'll listen to it. You'll hear it. It's just her voice being suspended. And so this carries out, right? Like the voice reaches this point and it's suspended here. And then what you get is two sounds, all right? And so the first sound, which is I'm going to refer to as like the strange electronic, maybe the gnarly sound, is more of a Robert sound, right? So here it is. Kind of like a strange EKG-ish sound that is off-putting. It doesn't match the whole first part of the song, in my opinion. And it's like a little bit foreboding because you're reminded as the listener of this project that Robert was this very gnarly song. And you're thinking Robert had similar sounds, right? Weird, kind of otherworldly sounds. Maybe not otherworldly, but like weird electronic sounds. So here it is. Right, and so you're listening to that, you're like, oh man, are we going to go back into Robert? I love these past two beautiful things. I'm making it sound like it's a bad thing that it's going to go back to Robert, but I mean that's a little bit how you feel as the listener of this song. And then you get this sound, which is this, I'll call it the beautiful sound, comes in to like fight against the Robert sound, the electronic sound. It's like this really nice keyboard sound, right? So you have these two sounds fighting, and I have it represented over here. You have Jesus representing the yellow and green / acid sounds, low on the gnarly meter. Then you have the Robert sound over here, which is the devil, and then you have the cover art for the city. And so they're fighting over the city. It's like, which way is it going to go? It's going to be a Robert sound. It's going to be a yellow and green sound. I'm just going to go back, revisit. So you have here are the two dueling. So you have the suspended voice. Sweet, right? It's like, and these two sounds are fighting over which way will we pull the voice. Like, are we gonna keep? Is the gnarly sound gonna win out? Are we gonna go more towards like a Robert thing, or is the beautiful sound gonna win out? Which is this. And are we gonna like hold off Robert, like the Robert sound? Is Robert not gonna like take the voice with them, like influence the voice? Will yellow and green and the acid noises or whatever, this beautiful sound influence the voice, or will the gnarly sound? And then you get like probably the coolest moment on the whole EP, I think, and where the choice is made. So I'm just gonna play it and we'll listen to the whole thing. It's so cool. So like right there, the choice is made. And if the choice isn't clear, it'll be on the next slide. But like the two sounds fight, and then the city, the devil throws Jesus' hand down, and the song "The City" is now it's like declaring that it's going to be gnarly, right? And it's like now it's making the choice which way, in what way will it be gnarly or whatever. And so I'll play it again. And so like I'm this little graphic saying that the song is gonna, jockstrap made the choice that they want the noises that Taylor and Georgia made to become gnarly in the city. And so it's, if you listen for the beautiful sound literally powers down. So I mean, it's just so cool, right? Like it literally is the fight of the sounds. The voice cuts out. The beautiful sound powers down, and you only hear that gnarly sound. I'm going to play it one more time, just because I love it so much. Voice is gone. As soon as the voice is gone, that beautiful voice gone, the beautiful sound gone, and then all you are left with is the gnarly sound. So cool. And then this is like the next, I think it's maybe 10 seconds or so later, but then the next bit is this. Sweet, really noisy, and if you thought that Robert was like a one-off track, you couldn't have been more wrong. There's no singing for the rest of the song. It's a lot of talking. I think it's Christina, friend Christina said that it's some sort of poem by a woman that was microdosing shrooms or something. I can't remember, but it's really gnarly. Not at all beautiful. It's very cool. Not to say like all music must be beautiful, right? Like it's just a very different emotion that the city conveys. And what's so cool about like this whole thing, right? Oh, on the gnarlyometer, it's right next to Robert, is that it kind of puts you as a listener in a state of limbo while you're listening to a song. So like if a song starts out beautiful, which most of their songs kind of do nowadays, a lot of the stuff on Jennifer B starts off with like Georgia's voice forward. And so what it does is it like sets you up for not knowing which direction they're going to take a song. Like even on Neon, you don't really know. You're not sure which is the first track. And these things, what it does is it makes for exciting music and what I call like the existential threat of gnarliness. Like you may love the song. You may think to yourself, oh, my mom might even want to listen to this song. And then they can pull this gnarliness lever and completely, I don't know, dissuade you from showing the song to your mom or grandma or whoever else. Someone that's not going to like noisy music, which is most people. Like, they have such great pop moments on their songs, very singable moments. And then if you want to listen to this, Brennan said this, my friend Brennan said this, if you want to go, like, listen to a moment you like, you have to go re-listen to the whole song. And then what that ends up doing is, like, making you love the song even more, and then likely finding other things about the song you like, and then loving the gnarliness because the gnarliness, because the gnarliness forces you to understand why you like the beautiful thing, and it, like, makes you go back, and then you end up liking the gnarliness. I don't know, it's so cool. It's so cool. And then I guess on Concrete Over Water, right, so then we're going to talk about Concrete Over Water, and as you can see, now the train is Concrete Over Water. And as the listener, you're listening to it, and you're thinking, is it going to go gnarly or beautiful, right? Because, so the song starts out, and it's pleasant to listen to, and then eventually you get the vocal suspension. There's, like, this great organ sound. I don't know what it is, but I think the voice and the organ sound at the beginning of Concrete Over Water are some of the best sounds of all time. It's one of the reasons I kept listening to the song over and over again. So, but eventually you get to this thing where there's a vocal suspension again, so I'll play this. And, like, immediately I'm reminded that the last time I heard a sort of vocal suspension like this was on The City. And in The City, it becomes gnarly. And so as you're listening to the vocal suspension, there's one sound in particular. This, like, I call it the gnarly tape eating sound. I'll play it. It's like a VCR getting munched up is what it sounds like to me. Right, it's like that little whatever, and so, and, like, at the beginning of the song you heard sort of a rewinding of the first verse, and so you hear this, like, tape eating sound, and you're like, they're going to make the song gnarly, and if I want to listen to that cool organ sound and the cool vocal bit, I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to the song. So you hear that tape eating sound again. And even I have it here at 1:43 in the music video, in the Concrete Over Water music video. There's, like, I'll play it, but there's, like, I assume they can see it, yeah. You'll see Taylor's face behind Georgia here. It's, like, almost to remind you of the threat. It's so good. Or maybe it's unintentional, I don't know. So, like, his face is here to remind you that if they want to flip the song, you may have loved the first minute and a half of beautiful singing and sounds, but that's not necessarily what the rest of the song is going to be. And it isn't the case. It ends up being that the song is, like, a beautiful thing. There's a cool bit where the whole production falls out and it sounds like it's over, and you're just in a room with them listening to Georgia sing over a piano. And then the second time around, that there's this vocal suspension bit in the song, there's, like, this really gnarly rhythm sound, just to remind you that in the future they could still do this again. This whole they could turn gnarly. It doesn't matter how beautiful you think the song is. It doesn't necessarily have to remain that way. Right, the taping and sounds. Yeah, and then here comes the rhythm. Yeah, and so, like, right there, the first time I listened to it, I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna break. It's gonna break gnarly for the last minute or so of the song. It doesn't, but still, it's so cool, kind of how they tease the listener, or, like, keep you engaged by what I call, like, the existential threat of gnarliness. Clean up. Oh, I guess the way I think about it is when I'm listening to music, at least, typically the emotions I'm feeling follow that of, like, the singer. So when I listen to jockstrap's music, most of how I feel while listening to it is basically what George's voice is, like, trying to evoke. And this happens to me a lot. I have the example of Tom Waits. There's, like, you feel really sad when you listen to the song. When you listen to the song, A Christmas Card from a Hooker in Minneapolis. If you listen to that song, it's a very sad sad song, and it's mostly about vocal delivery, I think. For me, at least, I'm just saying. Or you can do like Singapore, The Longshoreman. It's off-putting. Or like God's Away on Business is another great one where it's you don't like the guy singing, but the part he's singing is fun to listen to, and like his voice eventually becomes fun to listen to, and then you think about why would he choose to deliver it this way, and so I think a lot of times the jockstrap duo do this great job of just guiding the listener to a specific emotion, like they guide the voice to a specific spot, and I think the city does it probably the best, and I think Concrete Over Water does a really good job of playing on that thing, like playing on the idea that they could change the song at any moment. And what it does is it keeps you on your toes. It makes for really exciting music. Yeah, this band's just so cool, and they make very cool music. My little brother Joey says he wishes they would do more rap songs, which I think I agree with. I think it'd be really cool. Um, yeah, thank you. I really hope I get the chance to interview them. They'd be really fun to talk to. I said really a lot.